What's up, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. I'm actually going to be talking about myself in this video and what's been holding me back for this whole year. And before I get into it, this is the second time I'm recording this video because I wasn't happy with the first one. And ignore the fact that I'm wearing a hood, it's because it's quite cold in my room right now. But if there's one piece of advice that I could give to my past self, to my younger self, it would be to drop the perfectionist mindset. Just completely drop it. It's something that's been affecting me for not just in trading, but for my whole life in general. But obviously, as we know, things that happen in your life already, that becomes funneled into your trading too, right? I'm quite someone who's like very cautious and likes to take the long way round with things if it causes as least issues as possible. And that's not a good thing when it comes to trading, especially, right? Now, it speaks volumes when I say that I've been on the same prop firm account for this whole year. I've not blown a single account ever. I've had two accounts, one where the company went down and the second one, which is what I'm using now. But this is something that I'm not proud to say, right? And if you're someone who's got a fear of entry or has the fear of losing or just wants like 100% conviction that something's going to happen, then this video is going to be for you. I'm going to be addressing people like me who are very cautious with the way they take decisions. They tend to think a bit too much when it comes to decision making, right? And so it starts affecting things that are not meant to be certain in the first place, like trading. So I'll start with that actually. So you're never really meant to be certain with trading, right? It's something it's an uncertain game. It's a game of probability. And so people like me, when they come into this and they start thinking you need to have such conviction that something's going to happen, when the setup is literally screaming in your face to take it, right? Because there's been a numerous amount of times when the fear of entering or the fear of losing just overcomes you while you're in a moment of trading, right? You just can't fathom taking that split second decision at the very end, because there is a discretional part to trading, which is the very end when you're pushing the button, right? Trading is never 100% mechanical, unless you're someone who's coded some sort of bot or whatever they call it, EAs nowadays. But if you're trading for yourself and you're watching the screens, then most likely there is going to be a small discretional part to it. If you're that good of a trader, if you're quite well seasoned, there's going to be a very small discretional part to it. And at that discretional part is when you find people start to have doubts coming into their mind. Sometimes their analysis goes out the window and they start self-doubting themselves. This is something that's happened to me, and it causes the fear of losing and it causes the fear of entering. And I'd like to say these are kind of like symptoms of the perfectionist mindset. Not embracing the probability and the risk is one thing. And this is something which I was struggling to get over, right? Because, as I said, I've been in a prop firm challenge for more than 6 months, more than half a year. And again, this is something that I'm not proud about, because for that whole time, you're not being paid. Obviously, you have one side of the spectrum of people which they blow accounts left, right, centre. But I'm also addressing people who are on my side of the spectrum where they're being too cautious and they're taking things very slow, taking very little risk, but expecting such high reward. Now, I'm talking in the scope of prop firm accounts, right? Because this is probably the best opportunity that we could get in the trading space to be able to develop capital for a very short fee, or for a very small fee. This method of using prop firms, sometimes it can develop too much caution, right? Obviously, if you're using a personal account, take caution. Have good risk management and be disciplined to it. But when it comes to prop firms, in the challenge phase especially, there is that period of time you're not being paid, and so the idea is to be getting out that challenge phase as soon as possible. Now, at the time of making this video, I've just blown my first account, and I'll be honest, I do feel very liberated, which kind of doesn't make sense. You just blown your account, you shouldn't be happy, right? But for me, when you spend so long on a prop firm challenge, you develop this sort of attachment to it, right? And so because you develop such attachment to it, let's say if I did pass it and I did reach the live funded stage where I could actually start potentially making actual money from it, right? The amount of sensitivity you'd get to taking a trade would be like astronomical. It would be so high because of how much time and attachment you've brought to that specific account, right? So, people like me who are watching this video, if you're spending so long on a prop firm challenge, you've got a problem, right? If you're spending I'd say more than a month trying to pass an account, then you've got an issue. So there's been this realization that I've had when it came to buying these accounts, right? Because for the challenge phase, you have to be getting out of it as soon as possible, as I just mentioned. So the whole idea is to be risking more, right? If there's one thing that's in your control and in your power as a trader, it's your risk, right? Now, it can be also your best thing. It can be your most powerful thing, the thing that you can take advantage of, but it can also be the worst thing that happens to you, right? But because this is the scope of prop firms, and there's two conditions, right, to utilizing risk properly, actually applying proper risk. So, number one, you actually are a profitable trader and you know how to trade. You can have even a shit win rate, like even 30%. I'll go as far as say having a 30% win rate, because you could still pass a prop firm challenge with a 30% win rate if you're using appropriate risk. And number two, I almost forgot somehow, which was you're using an account which is very cheap to you. I say cheap because what this means is when it comes to buying prop firm accounts, if you're going to be using appropriate, proper risk, high risk, which is like somewhere between 2 and 3% to try and pass the account quickly, that's the aim here. And so you have to be doing it on accounts which are really inexpensive to you whatsoever. The reason why is because we're getting out of the challenge phase as soon as possible. And if you lose it, it doesn't affect you whatsoever. So you want to be using it on an account which you can buy 5 times in a month. Some people would say 2 times, some people would say 3 times. I'll go to that extreme and say 5 times in a month. You should be able to afford that account. Why? Because if you blow that account, let's be honest, it's probably something which won't damage your income or won't make a significant dent in your income whatsoever. This is obviously going to be relative to you. Some people will only just be able to afford a 5k challenge, and whereas some people might be able to afford a 50k challenge. But the whole idea with this, right, is that for the whole time that you could be spent trying to pass an account, making 10%, 15%, 30%, whatever the target is, in the span of 6 months, wouldn't you rather be able to pass? Wouldn't you be able to pass one account and maybe blow 2 or 1 along the way in the span of 1 or 2 months? So which would you rather do? Blow 2 accounts and pass 1, in the span of 2 months, or pass one in the span of 6 months. Everyone would choose the first one. Why? Because when you pass one and you eventually reach a payout, not even that much, like 1, 2, 3%, not even anything significant, that's easily attainable, I think. The amount that you would get from that account would pay for the blown challenges, and also you'd keep a bit for yourself. I don't think these prop firms would care the fact that you're taking ages to pass an account, right? These challenges are made to make you blow it. They've designed it in a way so that it takes you either a long time or that you blow it. So if there's anything that you can use to your advantage, it's your risk. So I hope you can see where I'm going with this video, right? About trying to just overcome, first of all, the psychological side, which is avoiding blowing accounts, right? Because there's two routes you could take with this. You could either go the long route and you'll get there safe and sound, and you won't damage your car along the way. Or you could take the shortest route, you'll get there quicker, but you might encounter some potholes which most likely won't damage your car. You might get some wear and tear, but you'll be fine, and you'll get your car to the destination faster. So that was kind of everything I wanted to address in this video. And again, yeah, this only applies to people who are like me, that are really risk averse and are struggling to take risk when it comes to trading in general, right? If you be too cautious in this game, you're going to find yourself just like, it's like a dog chasing its own tail. You're not going to make significant ground. You have to add volatility to your equity curve, right? This does not apply to people who are already blowing accounts left, right, and centre, because they've got their own battle to fight. We've got our own internal wars, right? But for those lot, people blowing accounts many times in a week or a month, then you've got a whole separate issue to deal with, which is to dial it back. There's a healthy medium that we need to get to. You're either on one side of the spectrum, where you're blowing accounts left, right, centre, or you're like me. And there's a healthy medium that we have to get to, which is having an appetite for risk, but also having the ability to be able to switch between being a normal, disciplined, stoic, being able to manage a risk type of trader, and when to be aggressive, when to take advantage of what you have as a trader, which is your risk, to pass these challenges. So yeah, that just about wraps up for this video. I hope it really hit hard with some of you guys who have kind of been in this cuckoo land, taking things quite a bit too cautiously. Because I'll be honest, this is what I was like too. Taking things too cautious, because if you take things too cautious, you're doing things too slow, and you won't be getting where you want fast enough. And if anything, you'll be taking more steps back than you do forward. Whereas if you push through the pain of blowing an account, okay, you might be taking 2 steps back, but then when you do eventually pass one, if you have a profitable edge and if you have an account which is really affordable to you, taking 2 steps back, but then you'll be making 5 steps forward. That's essentially what this is. You make up for the accounts you lost, and you keep some for yourself. So, if you enjoy transparent content like this, then please leave a like on this video and subscribe. Leave a comment on if you think that this resonated with you, and I appreciate if you listen this far. Stay happy, stay blessed, and thanks for watching.